The galaxy had been quiet for almost 2 centuries. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of fear, a fragile hush stretched across 1,000 worlds, where every civilization held its breath, pretending not to notice the growing shadow at the edge of the Orion Arm. That shadow had a name whispered in 100 tongues, the Vreeth Dominion. They came without warning, like a tide of black fire, an empire that consumed worlds not for conquest, but for purification. To them, chaos was sin, and diversity was disease. They burned planets clean, leaving behind only dust and a single phrase etched into their victims' communication arrays. Order restored. The Vreeth never negotiated. They never surrendered. And for the first time in recorded history, humanity was next on their path. Admiral Marcus Hale stood on the bridge of the USS Aegis, a massive battle carrier orbiting Titan, Earth's last great military stronghold beyond Mars. The stars looked cold tonight, sharper, like shattered glass. Behind him, holographic screens shimmered with movement as analysts whispered updates. Fleet Command confirms the Dominion's forward scouts crossed the Kepler line, said Commander Lena Brooks, his executive officer. That's less than 20 light-years from Sol. Marcus exhaled slowly. So, they've finally decided we're worth their time. Lena's tone darkened. We've sent out distress signals to every Alliance world. But most haven't answered. Some refused to. Of course, they did. Humanity's reputation wasn't exactly stellar in the Galactic Council, brash, impulsive, too fond of war. They'd earned the name the children of conflict. No one wanted to be dragged into their mess. No one except, perhaps, the Ka'ari. The Ka'ari were the oldest known race in the Orion sector, tall, ethereal beings of soft blue light and translucent skin. Their eyes glowed with faint gold radiance, like dawn breaking underwater. For 6 millennia, they had preached peace and pacifism, acting as healers, mediators, and philosophers of the stars. They had no army. No weapons. Not even a standing defense fleet. And yet, every major empire in the galaxy had sworn never to harm them. Because the Ka'ari's wisdom, their Kaira Ven, or bond of life, was said to be the spiritual glue that kept the galaxy's sanity intact. They were the light everyone swore to protect, and the ones who refused to fight for anything. Which was why Marcus Hale nearly didn't believe it when his comm officer turned pale and whispered. "Sir, we're getting a signal. It's from the Ka'ari." The holographic feed flickered to life, revealing the serene face of High Mediator Enari Tovan, the Ka'ari's leader. The being radiated calm even through the distortion, calm so absolute it felt wrong in the war room's tension. "Admiral Hale," Enari said, her voice like music in rain. "Humanity stands at the edge of extinction. You have called, and we have listened." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Then you know what's coming." "We do. And we have made our choice." The bridge fell silent. Every officer leaned in, breath caught. "We will stand with you," Enari continued. "The Ka'ari will defend humanity." No one spoke. Even the air seemed to pause. Marcus blinked, unsure if he'd heard right. "With respect," Lena said cautiously, "the Ka'ari don't fight." "You've never fought." "Not in 10,000 years." "That is true," Enari said softly. "But peace cannot survive if no one defends it." 3 hours later, the Aegis dropped into hyperspace, leading a fleet of human dreadnoughts toward the edge of the Sol system. Marcus watched the tactical display, an ocean of red marks, Dominion warships converging like a storm. "Admiral," Lena said, glancing at the readings. "The Ka'ari vessels are arriving." He frowned. "Vessels? You mean they're transports?" "No, sir, these aren't transports. Out of hyperspace emerged forms of radiant geometry, ships unlike any human design. They looked alive, their hulls pulsing like living crystal, trailing golden filaments of light. The Ka'ari didn't build them. They grew them." As the first of them aligned beside the Aegis, Marcus heard a deep hum, not over the comms, but through the ship itself, vibrating through the metal like a heartbeat. Then, without words, every human aboard felt it. A voice ancient, kind, and unyielding. "We are the Ka'ari. We will not let the flame of life be extinguished." The Dominion fleet arrived in a wave of dark matter and flame, blotting out the stars. Tens of thousands of black ships, each carrying the same symbol, a jagged circle enclosing an empty void. The Kaari ships shone brighter in response, releasing an energy field that shimmered across space like a sunrise. Human ships powered up weapons, locking targets. Marcus stood tall. Open all channels. Broadcast to the Dominion fleet. Yes, sir. This is Admiral Marcus Hale of the United Terran Navy, he said, his voice steady. You've entered human space. Turn back, or we will resist. The reply came within seconds, a single, cold voice from the Dominion flagship. Resistance acknowledged. Order will be restored. And then, the galaxy erupted. The first salvo tore through the void, plasma bolts and particle lances screaming across the darkness. Human ships braced shields, the Kaari formation shifted into perfect symmetry, their light converging into barriers that absorbed the Dominion's attacks like waves breaking on shore. Impossible, Lena whispered. Their energy output's off the charts. The Kaari had never built weapons, but what they unleashed now was something beyond weaponry. Their ships resonated, creating harmonic pulses that disintegrated Dominion projectiles mid-flight. And when they countered, it wasn't with fire, but light bursts that disabled ships without destroying them, freezing them in space like statues. Marcus watched, awed. There, healing the battlefield. But the Dominion were relentless. From the heart of their armada, a new kind of weapon fired a black beam that devoured the light it touched. The Kaari shield shattered, one ship rupturing into fragments of gold. A Kaari voice cried out across the comms, not in pain, but sorrow. Marcus slammed his fist down. Return fire. Protect them. Human ships surged forward, unleashing every railgun, missile, and energy cannon in their arsenal. The Kaari's light mixed with humanity's fury, and for the first time in eons, the galaxy saw something it had never seen before. The children of conflict and the keepers of peace fighting as one. As the battle raged, Inari's voice reached Marcus once more, calm amid chaos. Admiral Hale, this war cannot be won by strength. But it can be remembered. What do you mean? Marcus demanded. There are things you do not yet see. We will buy you time. When the stars burn black, follow the light. Before he could respond, the Kaari fleet surged ahead, their ships glowing until they were blinding. Then, in unison, they ignited, transforming into a wall of energy that swept across the Dominion armada, tearing through their darkness like a divine wind. Every scanner went white. Every frequency screamed static. When the light faded, the Dominion fleet was gone. And so were the Kaari. For 3 hours, the comms were dead. Then, amid the static, a single signal broke through, faint, pulsing, Kaari in origin. Lena turned, pale. Sir, it's a message. From Nari. Marcus swallowed. Play it. The voice came, soft as dawn. Admiral Hale, this is not the end. It is the beginning. What we have done for all life. You will understand, when the silence returns. Then the signal died. Marcus stood motionless, staring at the stars where the Kaari had vanished. Humanity had been spared, but at what cost? And what did she mean by when the silence returns? He didn't know. But he would find out. Because peace, the kind the Kaari died for, was not a gift. It was a debt. 3 months after the Battle of Sol, the galaxy was holding its breath again. The Dominion fleet had retreated, vanishing beyond the Kepler line, leaving behind only wreckage, radiation, and questions. But the Kaari, they never came back. The luminous race that had stood beside humanity for one impossible day had vanished into the void, no transmissions, no survivors, no trace of their living ships. Only their final words remained. You will understand when the silence returns. To Admiral Marcus Hale, those words were more haunting than any weapon. He stood in the observation deck of the Aegis, staring out over the dark side of Titan. The once bustling shipyards now glowed with the soft blue light of salvage crews. Hundreds of Dominion wrecks floated beyond, stripped for study. Commander Lena Brooks approached, holding a datapad. Her voice was low, almost reverent. Final tallies in, sir. 37 human ships lost. 5,000 confirmed dead. No Kaari signatures detected anywhere. Marcus didn't turn. You ever think maybe they knew this would happen? Lena frowned. You mean, sacrifice themselves? They didn't hesitate. Didn't ask for help or mercy. They just, he clenched his jaw. They erased themselves to stop the Dominion. And left us a riddle. She looked down at the datapad. Fleet intelligence believes the Kaari ships didn't explode. They transitioned. Their energy readings, they're still out there, faint, like echoes. Echoes of what? Marcus asked. That's what scares me, she murmured. Later that night, Marcus reviewed the transmission logs alone. Anari's final message replayed again and again, each syllable burning deeper into him. When the stars burn black, follow the light. He leaned forward, rubbing his temples. What light, Anari? Where did you go? The answer came in the form of a soft chime. Incoming transmission, encrypted, untraceable. Not from Earth Command, not from any known human source. The screen flickered, static shifting into the faint outline of a Kaari face. Anari Tovan. Marcus froze. You're alive. Admiral Hale, she said, her voice thinner now, distorted by distance, as if carried through time itself. What you see is not I, but what remains. A fragment of consciousness bound to the Ven. The bond of life, Marcus whispered. Your peoples. Our essence, Anari interrupted gently. The Katara Ven connects all life. But the Dominion seeks to sever it. Their void fire consumes the Ven itself. That is why we acted. Marcus leaned closer. You turned yourselves into, what? Energy? Conscious memory? Into guardians, she said. We have merged with the Ven to protect what cannot fight back. Then why contact me? Because the silence has returned, she said. And you must hear what it hides. Titan Base detected at first a signal, deep beneath the methane ice. A pulse that matched the Kaari resonance frequency. Within hours, Marcus and Lena were aboard a shuttle descending into the freezing haze. The landscape below was a graveyard of alien metal and shattered ice, the aftermath of humanity's most desperate battle. Landing coordinates locked, the pilot said. Energy readings stable, barely. The ramp hissed open. Cold wind roared in. The ice crunched beneath their boots as they approached the signal's source, a crater filled with a faintly glowing structure, half-buried, crystalline, and alive. Lena breathed out. Is that one of their ships? Marcus nodded slowly. No. It's something else. The structure pulsed once, recognizing their presence. A voice whispered, not through comms, but inside their minds. Admiral Hale. You came. Marcus stiffened. Anari? The Ven remembers you, the voice said. But time is short. The ice cracked around them. Holographic light flared, a projection of stars, constellations shifting into a pattern neither had seen before. It wasn't a map of the current galaxy. It was older. Simpler. Before the Kaari were born, Anari's voice echoed, we found the Dominion. They were not conquerors then. They were guardians of the void, sworn to contain what dwells beyond. Lena's brow furrowed. Beyond what? The projection zoomed out, and the stars themselves began to flicker, one by one, until only darkness remained. A vast black shape stirred at the edge of the void, older than galaxies, its form impossible to define. The Dominion served it, Anari said. Until they forgot why. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. You mean they're worshipping something? A god? A hunger, she corrected. The silence. It feeds on life, on connection. The Dominion believe they are cleansing the galaxy. In truth, they are feeding it. Lena whispered, and your sacrifice was to seal the first breach, Anari said. But the seal weakens. You must find the second light before the Dominion returns. It lies on a world you once called home. Marcus's breath caught. Earth. The projection vanished. The glow of the structure dimmed. And then, silence. Lena turned to him. If what she said is true, the Dominion aren't the real threat. Marcus nodded grimly. They're just the heralds. They returned to orbit immediately. Within a day, the Aegis led a recon task force toward Earth, under the guise of decontamination and resource delivery. But inside the Admiral's war room, the truth was far heavier. Pull up deep core geological scans, Marcus ordered. Anything unusual in the last 3 months? A technician scrolled through data streams. Sir, there's something. Massive geothermal activity under the Pacific Trench. Energy signatures off the charts, and they match the Ka event frequency. Lena paled. The second light. Marcus stared at the hologram of Earth. The world that birthed war and wonder in equal measure. Set course for the Pacific. Quietly. I don't want command knowing until we're sure. They reached Earth orbit 3 days later. The planet looked peaceful from space, oceans glittering, cities alive with light. But below, something ancient was stirring. The Aegis descended through storm clouds, landing on a mobile platform above the deepest part of the trench. Crews deployed drones into the abyss, their lights cutting through the crushing darkness. Depth 100,000 feet, a tech reported. Contact, wait. I'm getting movement. A burst of static filled the comms, then a pulse of blue light surged upward, knocking drones offline. Lena grabbed the console. That's not natural. Marcus's voice was steady. Pull back the drones. Send the submersible. I'm going down. Admiral. That's an order. The descent was claustrophobic. The submersible creaked under pressure, screens flickering. Outside, the blackness felt alive, pressing, whispering. Then, faintly, a glow appeared ahead, a colossal sphere of Kauri crystal embedded in the seafloor, pulsing with the same rhythm as his heartbeat. Jesus, Marcus whispered. It's a seed. A voice, soft, feminine, ancient, filled the cabin. Admiral Hale, the second light must awaken. Anari, he said, barely breathing. Why here? Because humanity was chosen, she said. You hold both violence and compassion, creation and destruction. The galaxy needs both. The sphere began to crack, light flooding outward in radiant threads that wrapped around the submersible like living vines. You will carry our legacy now, Anari's voice said. The Ven will live through you. Wait, what are you? Light consumed everything. His vision went white. When Marcus woke, he was back aboard the Aegis. Medical staff surrounded him, eyes wide. Sir, Lena said, voice trembling. You were gone for 6 hours. The sub, it melted. But your vitals, they're different. He sat up slowly, feeling a faint hum inside him, not mechanical, not biological. Something deeper. Through the ship's window, he saw Earth glowing faintly in the dark, as if a new dawn was forming beneath the oceans. What happened down there, sir? Lena whispered. Marcus looked at his trembling hands, light faintly pulsing beneath the skin. I think, he said quietly, the Kaari didn't vanish. They became part of us. The stars were dying again. Not fading, not dimming, dying. Across the Orion Arm, systems went dark one by one, their suns collapsing into silence without warning or trace. The galaxy's communication grids filled with panic, entire civilizations vanishing mid-transmission, leaving behind only the echo of their last breath. Humanity called it the second silence. Admiral Marcus Hale called it the beginning of the end. 3 weeks had passed since his encounter beneath the Pacific. 3 weeks since the Kaari seed had awakened and changed him. Medical scans couldn't explain it. His neural activity now glowed in spectrums no human brain should emit. He could feel things he couldn't describe, patterns in radio waves, whispers in cosmic radiation, the heartbeat of entire worlds. He was part of the Ven, now, the living network the Kaari had once guarded. And through it, he felt something vast and wrong moving in the dark between stars. It wasn't just the Dominion anymore. Something older was stirring, the silence itself. In the war room aboard the Aegis, Earth's Defense Council gathered via hologram. Generals, diplomats, and scientists argued in panicked tones. "They've destroyed the colonies at Epsilon Prime and Vega Gate," said General Myra Coleman. "And they didn't even use ships. The stars just died." "Not possible," muttered Dr. Rajan Eiler from the Astrophysics Division. "Energy collapse on that scale requires the same energy we saw from the Kaari sacrifice," Marcus interrupted quietly. "But inverted." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to him. His voice was calm, but something in his gaze made even the generals uneasy. "You're saying the Dominion has learned how to weaponize the silence," Myra said. "No," Marcus said. "I'm saying they've become it." Hours later, alone on the bridge, Marcus stood by the viewport as Earth hung beneath him, fragile and unaware. Commander Lena Brooks joined him, her expression lined with fatigue. "Sir, Fleet Command wants to evacuate the outer systems. Pull everyone back to Sol." He didn't look at her. "If they retreat, the silence spreads faster. The Ven is unraveling." "Then what do we do?" she asked. "You've been different since Titan, since the Kaari. You feel things before our sensors do. Tell me straight, Marcus. What did they do to you down there?" He turned toward her, and for a heartbeat, his eyes flickered with faint gold light. "They gave us a choice," he said softly. "To be what we've always feared or what they believed we could be." She stepped closer. "And what's that?" "The bridge between chaos and peace." Before she could answer, alarms blared across the ship. "Contacts. Multiple warp signatures emerging, 300, no, 500 ships." Marcus's expression hardened. "The Dominion." Outside the viewport, space tore open, black fissures spilling fleets of obsidian warships, their hulls burning with dark flame. They didn't fire immediately. They waited, as if savoring the fear. A single transmission came through, voice distorted, mechanical, hollow. "The silence is hungry. Humanity will join the void." Marcus straightened, his voice steady. "This is Admiral Marcus Hale of the Terran Navy. You've destroyed enough worlds. You won't take ours." The Dominion responded with a sound that wasn't speech, more like 1,000 voices speaking through one throat. "You carry their light. Give it to us." Lena looked to Marcus. "They mean the Kaari energy, the thing inside you." He met her eyes. "Then that's exactly what they'll get." The battle erupted. Human ships surged forward, their guns blazing, missiles cutting through the dark like lightning through storm clouds. The Dominion returned fire with annihilation beams that bent gravity itself, shredding entire destroyers into nothing. But the Aegis held its ground, shields glowing with faint blue lines that weren't part of any known technology. The Kaari's resonance pulsed through the ship, responding to Marcus's heartbeat. "Admiral, what's happening to our systems?" an officer cried. "The ship's singing." "Let it," Marcus said. His hands gripped the command rail as energy coursed through the hull. "They're not machines anymore. They're alive." He could feel the fleet, every pilot, every gunner, every terrified heartbeat, through the Ven. He reached into that collective fear and turned it into resolve. "All ships," he said, voice echoing through every calm, "hold your lines. For every world they silenced, for every life they erased, stand together." And humanity did. The children of conflict fought with the fire of 1,000 suns. But it wasn't enough. The Dominion's central flagship, the Eidolon, moved forward, dwarfing every vessel around it. Its weapon charged, drawing energy from a dying star system light years away. "Energy spike!" Lena shouted. "They're going to collapse our sun." Marcus closed his eyes. Through the Ven, he saw it, a tendril of void energy coiling toward Sol, ready to consume it. He felt billions of lives below, unaware of the doom above them. He whispered, "Nari, show me what to do." And then, he felt her.
The Kaari's voice, gentle as ever, filled his mind. You are the light, Marcus Hale. You are the bond now. Let humanity remember. He turned to Lena. Get the fleet clear. I'm not leaving you. That's an order, he said, smiling faintly. And a promise. Before she could argue, light exploded around him, blue and gold veins spreading across his skin, through the ship, through space itself. The Aegis began to glow from within, its hull vibrating with pure harmonic resonance. Sir, what are you doing? An officer screamed. Marcus's voice echoed, layered with another and Ari's. Ending the silence. He opened his mind fully to the Ven, to every human soul connected by hope and fear. The light spread through him, through the fleet, through the very fabric of reality. The Dominion fired. The void beam hit the Aegis. Instead of destruction, it met resistance, light bending, folding, and then bursting outward in a cataclysm of brilliance. Every Dominion ship touched by that light froze. Their dark hulls cracked. The black flame inside them turned to blue and vanished. One by one, their ships disintegrated, not destroyed, but purified. The void within them consumed itself. Marcus saw it all, and then nothing. When the light faded, the stars shone again. The Dominion fleet was gone. Only the Aegis remained, drifting silently above Earth. Lena Brooks stood on the bridge, staring at the Admiral's chair, empty now, save for a faint shimmer of light hovering where he'd stood. The comms officer turned, tears in his eyes. He saved us. Lena nodded slowly, voice barely above a whisper. No, they saved us. She looked toward the window, where the first rays of sunrise broke over Earth's curve. And for an instant, she swore she saw them, shapes of light across the stars, watching. The Kaari. The Admiral. The Ven. Not gone. Just becoming. Weeks later, a transmission echoed across every human channel, a voice neither male nor female, both human and Kaari. The silence sleeps. The bond endures. When darkness rises again, remember. Peace does not survive by weakness. It survives by those willing to defend it. Humanity listened. And for the first time in history, they understood the Kaari's truth. Peace was not the of war. It was the to fight for life, without hate. And when the galaxy spoke of that day, of the light that burned back the dark, they didn't call it the Battle of Soul. They called it the day the peacekeepers returned.